and fairness in a given society. But this is the one I think that is so obvious to everyone. But I also know for a fact that we also have what we call right-wing activists. People who think that society need not be as fair as it is. I mean, I'm sure if you are in America now, you will agree that Trump is really an activist. And he is not pretending over it. He believes, although his wife may be an immigrant, whether legal or illegal, but that should be the end of unlawful immigration. And he's putting everything to it. And he has put everybody on notice, including Nigerians, that they better begin to learn to go back home and get themselves busy. So he's an activist. So activism is not synonymous with progressivism, with being progressive. People assume that once you are an activist, you are politically on the left. There are also people who are... This thing wasn't making noise when the chairman was speaking. And I hope somebody is not trying to organize a protest there. Protest has been banned until I leave government. Then there is this thing about idealism versus reality. Again, for me, this is not as straightforward and simple as it is assumed. Idealism will appear, listen to the chairman, he has adopted the typical day-to-day usage of that word. An idealist is somebody who wants a perfect society, like the economists will say, where all other things are equal, where there are no imperfections. And idealism is not realizable. And then we talk about reality, the tension between idealism and reality. And listening to the chairman, I think he has even used me as an example. That once you can't pay certain level of wages, which might be what you might categorize as the idealist levels of compensation, what you actually get paid is the reality of what is possible. But I believe that if any one of us was never idealistic at young age, at old age, you are much more likely to end up as a fascist. I believe we should all be idealistic, and we should not dismiss the possibility of having an ideal society. A society that provides equal opportunity for every citizen. If idealism means that everybody ought to have a right to 3 square meals a day with all the nutrients, realist can also be a very good and a very dangerous concept. Particularly the way, where we find ourselves today. People will typically say, let us be realistic. Like the chairman tried to say, we can't afford these levels of minimum wage. The country cannot afford minimum wage for everyone. That is the issue that he spoke to when he was governor. But let me say that that is not idealism. The reality is that the ruling class, I being temporarily associated with them for the purpose of studying them, understanding their methods, how they operate, all the hidden tricks that they use to manipulate and control society. So that as soon as I leave them, I will display this. I will be described as, we have lawyers here, hearsay. I will be an insider. The way in those days when the Nigerian police was more efficient, I'm told that sometimes an officer will go into a room with criminals and pretend to be an armed robber so that he can hear the conversation and confessions in the cell, and then come out as a witness to prosecute the real criminals in that cell. So when I'm out, I will be able to say, I know what you did that night. I know how much you consumed. I shared with you, and I know the price. Even as you went out to say that it was not realistic to get every person in Cross River to feed exactly the same way as you did. So there is no contradiction in it. It's about style, it's about strategies. But let me say that, when we say these things, they don't appear so obvious. What I question, which I don't accept even now as a governor, is that you cannot, on the one hand, have a centralized system of compensation for state executives, from governors to commissioners to councillors to local government chairmen. Their pay is centrally determined, and the economy can afford that. That what the Lagos State governor receives is what Edo State governor is receiving, and that is what my brother used to receive. And if you were smart to pass it into pension, that is what you are still receiving. I mean the Governor Aliu of Niger State. So if we have a national compensation for all governors, how can those governors turn around to question the wisdom of having a national minimum wage? If there is a national wage structure for all governors, for all assemblymen, for all senators, for everyone. It is that selective application of the principle of federalism that I found extremely offensive and unacceptable. And even today, I remain firm that we must maintain a national minimum wage. We must find a way to incrementally adjust it to reflect the cost of living, and that it is the duty of government as employer and private sector employers to look for the resources to pay those they have hired to work, whether in private or public sector. There is no contradiction on it even now. But I thought before I go further, I think there are three categories of activists that I'd like us to reflect on. We have individual activists, just one man riot squad. They will comment radically on every item and on every topic, even the one in which they are least informed. And because they question the general order, they will get an applause. But they go home and sleep, or go to their office and continue working. That is activism. It's a one-man business. The views are not shared, they are not debated. They represent the views of the activist as a person. Then you have collective activists. And I believe the most interesting example will be that of organized labor. Organized labor is different in many respects. Not only do they act as a collective, decisions that are parroted by union leaders are the result of consensus within the union movement. When they question government decisions, they are questions that are shared by the rank and file. And the demand that they make are bottom up. They are not top down. And they struggle not to attract personal recognition. They struggle to draw attention to imperfections, inequality, and unfairness that characterize the world of work.